Good girl. Good girl, Daddy. Good girl. Earlier. Alright, I'm back in the cabin today. We are finally getting what looks like springtime in the middle of March. This weather is literally 2 months early. It is dead nuts, crazy, just crazy. But I'm not complaining. So welcome back to the WTFarm Girl channel. I am working on my off-grid cabin office build. Shed to house. This is a great, exciting video today. We're going to be sanding down the boards and turning them from ugly ducklings into beautiful swans. And then they're going to be gilded swans eventually, but we'll get to that later. Plus, I'm going to try my hand at doing some epoxy fills. A lot of you guys suggested doing clear epoxy, but as you're going to find out, some interesting things kind of happen with the epoxy. And it's kind of a hate-love relationship between me and the epoxy. Lastly, we get to see how good of a job our nickel gap is actually doing. Some interesting things that I found out when I put the boards up. Yeah, so let's go and let's check it out. All right, so we're gonna do a real light sanding on some of these boards. I might just go through and sand the entire surface of all of them just lightly so that when I go through and oil them, it'll take the oil pretty well. All right, so this is a good example of some of the stuff that I'm really washing. Right here, there's a little bit of saw cut from when it was rough sawn. Right here's a little bit of a burn from when it was rough sawn. You got some rough edges there, rough edges there, rough edges here. A little bit of black there, some staining. All of this stuff right here, this is just dirt. And even though I've tried to keep these boards as clean as possible, I mean, stuff gets on them. So by lightly sanding them, it's just gonna take all this stuff off. There's a rough edge right there. It's just cosmetic stuff that when you go through and you put them up on the wall, all of this stuff is really gonna show, and it's really gonna detract from the actual beauty of these boards. So look at this board right here. This is an example. This one's gonna get an epoxy fill right here. Maybe a little epoxy fill there. We've got a beautiful knot, some beautiful grain. And I thought I even saw some of that, what do they call it, bird's eye? Like right through here, we have some of that beautiful maple grain right through here popping out. So this board, we're gonna revisit again when he's all beautiful and finished on the wall. These maple trees lived a beautiful life somewhere. Every time I'm gonna sit in this cabin, I'm going to be thankful for the maple trees that are outside, the life that they provide for animals, the syrup they give us, and the beauty that they're giving my cabin. All right, so luckily we have this tuck tape. The second reason I bought it was because you can actually use it on our acrylic forms. So on some of these boards that go all the way through, we will put the tape on it. All right, so I'm freaking out because my epoxy is already starting to set up. All right, so this is supposed to be runny so it goes into all the tiny little cracks and crevices. So my plan was I've got a color for a thin crack and crevice, which is my light kind of silvery blue, which still isn't exactly the color I wanted, but I'm just gonna kind of make it work anyway. It's not that I try to create more work for myself, it just kind of happens that way. So don't make fun of my epoxy job, guys. I'm doing the best I can. Now, if you do this the right way, you shouldn't have to have anything to sand. See how gloppy this is? It should not be like that at all. All right, so I'm trying to do my, see, look how gloppy this one is. This is, I don't even know what color this was supposed to be anymore because it's just completely turned on me. I think this is supposed to be a brown. So let's see. You can actually feel the heat coming off from this. This is gonna be like a brown fill right here. Oops. This color is looking okay. So I didn't have any actual brown, so I had to kind of like mix some copper, oops, and some gold together to kind of get the same sort of effect. Gosh. Yeah, see, this should be just running into the crevices, but it's not because it's already setting up. Enough, but it's so thick. It's like taffy.
I did mix the epoxy exactly according to the directions. Besides the directions on the bottle, this particular company was kind enough to give you an extra set of paper directions just to make sure you mixed it right. So I followed those directions to a T and followed the advice of others. This would essentially save you a lot of time trying to get rid of air bubbles. Now, this isn't the first time I mixed up the epoxy. I actually did a test run a couple days prior just to make sure it would set up okay and to test my color scheme. I made the brown star in this picture right here. The color was pretty well perfect and exactly what I was looking for.
So the epoxy is multi-purpose, it's decorative, but it's functional because some of these boards have massive cracks in them that go front to back, and so the epoxy kind of acts like glue and just kind of binds it back together. So I have all my epoxy boards stood up. I know you're wondering about all of this. It looks like crap, and I agree. I do have something that I'm gonna use on that, which I'm hoping will work out okay. These are looking gorgeous. Man, I love all of this. This is all from Bugs, I believe. But there's a lot of pattern in here that you can't see because it's dark. you can see the color variation, and I'm wondering like what color this is gonna turn out as. And as far as my pigments go, you're not gonna see this. You really won't. It's just gonna look black. And obviously this one was brown. And that one I think was a black one up there. You can't even tell which boards I did in blue. Actually, this one's in blue. This one was a black one. I went in there really thick. You can see what color it was, but when it goes in the hole, it just turns into shadow. And then here, this was actually blue, but you can't tell because obviously I didn't mix it dark enough, and obviously it just leaked right through. So whatever, that's okay. That's why it's an experiment. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna fix this because we gotta get our boards up. And oh, I actually have to grab my boards from the barn and bring them over here. All right, guys, give this video a thumbs up if you think this is taking way too long. I would give it like 20 thumbs up. I know I'm being OCD. I know I'm totally overthinking everything. But like I said before, this is like been a dream of mine for many, 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 many years. As long as I've ever wanted to be a writer, having my own writing cabin. Even if we build a house, this will still be my getaway cabin to just get out and write. I want to just look around and be like, I did a good job. It looks awesome. I know you guys can't visualize this in your heads. You haven't even seen half the stuff that's going in this cabin, but it's just, yeah, it hits me right here. So excited. I'll save you the labor of watching all of this get trimmed and taped. You already know. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. All right, I gotta go figure out where the level is so I can make sure that they're not going up crooked. Because the biggest fear is getting to something like the window and realizing, oh, these are going on an angle. I did the best I could to try to cut the butt end straight, but it doesn't always work. All right, so I feel like I'm glad I'm starting behind the door right here because this is definitely gonna be where I'm gonna have to get my rhythm going. A lot of you guys are concerned about shrinking. These are kiln dried maple boards. They might expand slightly. They might shrink just the slightest bit only because they might have absorbed a small amount of moisture out of the barn, but they're not green. They've been cured, they've been kiln dried, plus they've been sitting in my barn since December. So these things are gonna be dry as a doornail. With that said, you do typically, when you're doing wood, only want to nail on one end so that if it does, shift, you don't split the wood. I don't know. And that's one of those things that I did ask a question on a woodworking site, and sometimes it's hard for people just to give one solid answer. So I've got a handful of change right here. I'm gonna see which one's gonna fit the gap the best. So by nailing it, where's my nail? On the end right here, this is locking this side of the board down, which is also locking this side of this board down. So it's kind of like everything overlaps and holds the other board in place. So by doing it like this should allow for expansion of the joints. And this was an epoxy board, and you can see the epoxy right there, and that'll get trimmed up later. All right, let me get some more boards and see if we can get some more up here quick. I guess so far so good. You can tell that these are not milled, planed, you know, house quality boards, because the gap, even the dado gap, isn't straight all the way through. It's not even all the way through. I mean, even though I'm using pennies to gap it, right here, obviously it's different. Two. Anyway, I'm gonna go with the jigsaw, and we're gonna make our first cut. Now we're splitting the outlet between two boards. We're gonna split it between this board and one of these boards.
I don't remember what. It sucks because when you turn, you lose elevation.
Really smoking. It does not like that. See, it's not me. I think I need a different bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're burning my wood, hon.